How I traveled the world. To answer that question, I have to start from the beginning. So let's go all the way back. Before going back, I just want to say that this Snapchat session is going to be split into three parts. The first part is going to be me sharing my experience. Part 2 is going to be the Q&A. I saved all the messages that I got, all the questions, and I'm going to be answering them. And part 3 is an opportunity that I want to share. Ever since I was a kid, I've always enjoyed traveling. I've traveled with my parents a lot, with family members, going to Europe, tourism, normal stuff. And to prove it to you, I'm going to go through my old pictures right now, and I'm going to take pictures of them and show them to you right now. Let's do this. That was very nostalgic. Anyways, let's go back to the topic. Another thing I had a passion for was also filmmaking. I made videos back in middle school, for school, just playing around with my friends. Actually, let me show you some. This is when I first started doing visual effects or using After Effects. Don't judge me, please. Okay, wait for it. Before Snapchat filters were a thing, I did them back in 2009. Check this out. The point is, I loved making videos, and the only reason why I stopped was because I wanted to pay attention in school and get good grades and go to a good university. And as for volunteering, well, I didn't do much volunteering in high school, I didn't do much volunteering in middle school, I was never exposed to it. I found it to be a good thing, but I just didn't do it. So 3 things now: volunteering, traveling, filmmaking. All these things will connect somehow, and let me tell you how. One of the really good things about the culture in Canada and the US is that some programs require for you to volunteer in order to get into your program. And let me explain to you. For example, if you're planning to enter law school, dentistry, or even med school, the university might actually make it a requirement for you to do volunteering. So you can't enter without it. So I had no choice but to try volunteering. I'm like, okay, let me give it a shot and let's see how that works. But before that even happened, something else happened. I was walking through the cafeteria in my university, and there was this guy who was handing out leaflets, and he gave me one, and this is what it had. The leaflet said, travel to Nicaragua, travel to Costa Rica, volunteer travel, Calgary cares. And the only thing that I looked at was, the only thing that caught my eye was traveling to Costa Rica and Nicaragua. I'm like, wow, this is interesting, let me check this out. This was also a time when I was getting back to filmmaking. I was slowly starting to make videos, so I'm like, wow, this is an opportunity for me to travel and record my travels. Long story short, I got interviewed with this program. It's a university program. I got interviewed, they accepted me, they told me, okay, you want to travel with us? Let's go. Then before traveling with them, they had these small little sessions that we'd attend, and they'd tell us what's going to happen. And I was having so many doubts. They kept telling me that there's a fee we need to pay, but we can raise funds in order to pay off the fee. I was so confused, and they also told me that we're going to Costa Rica, so I was happy about that. Throughout the whole time, all I was thinking about is going and traveling and having fun and everything. I didn't really, when they kept telling me we're gonna volunteer, I didn't really pay attention to that. I'm like, well, how bad can it be? I was also willing to pay. I didn't mind paying. I had money at the time, and it was around $2,000 the cost, and I told them I'd pay, I don't mind. But then they completely surprised me because we were able to almost raise funds for half of the trip that we're going to. So I didn't really pay much at the end. I only paid like $1,000. We were basically able to raise funds for the trip by having a bake sale. So we sold cookies and then we collected all the money for our trip, which is really cool because they support these things. Because the Canadians themselves, they don't have enough money to travel either. So what they do is they have a fundraiser for their trip. They bake sale and do all these things, and then they use that money to travel because people there, they know that you're traveling for a good cause because it's volunteering. So they support you, they pay and buy your cookies and everything. So basically we traveled to Costa Rica, and the project was working at an elementary school. Here's a quick summary of how all of it went down. The trip took place during my first year of uni, and I was really shocked because, first of all, I lived with a family, and the family only spoke Spanish. I had to learn basic Spanish in order to communicate with them. No one spoke English there, and it was really fun. I lived in a small house with like 5 members. My host mom, which is the mother of the house that I'm living in, would cook me food every day. This is like a sample of the food she would cook me. It was really, really great. I know it sounds amazing, but the project that we were working on required a lot of effort. We were working every day, like mixing cement and everything. It was really tough. So the first few days I was having like a huge shock. I didn't know what to think. I was getting really tired. Mosquitoes were eating me alive and it was really hot. I was so used to when I travel, I go to five-star hotels, everything is prepared for you, but now I have to work, I have to help people, and then I have to deal with the conditions. Come on. So basically after going through those 2 weeks of volunteering, meeting the family, at the last day I had this amazing feeling. Saying goodbye to my host family was extremely sad, but also I felt accomplished. I felt like I did something, and let me tell you one reason why. We finished our project, which was the cement that we were building, which is here. This was the cement we were working on. When we finished this project, we were basically living on an island in Costa Rica. It's called Chira Island. The people there were so happy that we were there because they knew we were volunteers. So they greeted us, they said, what shocked me is that after the trip finished, I thought this is the best trip of my life. Even though the island had nothing, there was nothing on the island. It's not special at all. Because I truly experienced traveling, the real traveling, which is going and immersing yourself in a different culture, being very uncomfortable. This is what I experienced. Because the memories I made there, they're not like regular memories, like they're amazing memories. These are the kids at the school we were working at. They were just amazing kids and so much fun to be around. And I went fishing with a Spanish-speaking family, and I was speaking to them, like going like, hola, amigo, and all this stuff. It just was so different than usual traveling. And that was my trip to Costa Rica. It was basically through a university program called U Calgary Cares, and I traveled with them, and that's it. This program is not a worldwide program. It's only specific for my university in Canada. So after coming back, I thought I need to do something like this again. And I started looking for opportunities, and I eventually found international student volunteers. They were visiting my university, and I attended their presentation, and I was blown away. Their concept was very similar. You travel, you go to different countries, and then you volunteer, and you also adventure travel, which is something I didn't do in Costa Rica. Let me be very straightforward with you. ISV costs a lot of money. You have to pay. If you're willing to do adventure travel and volunteer travel, you're looking at around... Prices differ from country to country, but something like $2,000 for only the volunteering and an extra $2,000 for adventure travel. So a total of $4,000. And also, you have to pay for your flight. So if you don't live in Canada, which is nearby the countries that they go, you have to pay an expensive flight ticket. And looking at around $6,000. And I know that you're already going like, oh, forget it. I didn't have that money either. How did I pay for it? Let me tell you. Basically, I just fell in love with the concept, and I'm like, I'm gonna try everything I can to attend this program. And what I did was, I started saving money. Whatever I do, I would not waste money on cameras. I would not waste money on clothes. I would just start saving. I had around 6 months before our trip, so I signed up for it, and we had to pay in different times, and I just started saving slowly and slowly. These programs such as ISV, they also provide you with an option of raising funds. So they basically help you with the best of their abilities to raise funds. They give you all sorts of resources and papers and samples to help you out with raising funds, because people, if they see that you're traveling for a purpose or you're going to volunteer, they would think of it like paying for a charity, where in this case you are the organization and people are donating to you so that you volunteer and do good things. Isn't that cool? I know in the Arab world, I've never seen this before. Let me know if you have. I have never. So this was very unfamiliar for me. Eventually, I got to pay for my trip. Provided the resources, provided my saving and everything, I was able to travel. Going to Africa is still the best trip of my life, because what we did there is just beyond traveling. We got to teach kids, go to research on a project, a wildlife project about conservation. I learned a lot about climate change, about how animals work in Africa, so many things. At the same time, it was not an easy trip. It was very tough. We worked for 2 weeks on a project in the middle of a nature reserve, and there were some extreme conditions. During the winter in South Africa, which was extremely cold, and the conditions there were we didn't have flushing toilets, crazy stuff. Again, this is real traveling. Real traveling is learning something new, trying something new, experiencing uncomfortable things, but at the end of the day, you feel amazing. And the adventure travel was just something else. We were doing stuff like going inside caves, swimming with dolphins, scuba diving. Summary of my trip on my YouTube channel, I have like a 5-minute video showing like what I did in Africa. Basically just a summary. Took this as a chance to do some filmmaking. I took my camera everywhere, I documented everything, and then now when I look back, I'm just like, wow, this was an amazing trip. Summarizes my trip to Africa was through this program, ISV. You can go to their website and just check it out for yourself and see if it works for you. I was done with my trip to Africa. I got addicted to traveling, basically. I just wanted to travel the same way every time, and I looked for another organization. After researching, I came across this organization called Reach Out Volunteers, and the reason why I chose this specific organization was because they provided a specific program for scuba diving and like marine conservation, and I was so attracted to that because I wanted to try it out. The program also offered teaching kids English, because the island we were staying at, they didn't speak English, the kids, so we taught them English and we scuba dived every day. Again, the conditions on the island were so tough. This was the toughest trip of my life. Let me give you a quick summary. I have running water. The water was in, like, we used buckets. They had them in like these big things, and we were using buckets to shower. I only showered 3 times in 2 weeks. The shower was basically just jumping in the water every day. We were scuba diving every day, and that was my shower. I'd jump in, I'm like, wow, finally. It was really hot. There were so many mosquitoes. Again, these things, yes, they're tough, but you forget about them because you're living an adventure. You're living a really unique experience that not everyone experiences. I posted a 15-second video every day of my trip in Cambodia. You can go to my Instagram to check it out. I'll put the Instagram below. And I took this as a chance to start making videos again. So basically now I have all these memories that I can look back on. At the same time, I also use the videos to just basically encourage people to try this type of traveling. It's not, this is my favorite video. I'm going to show it to you now. This was diving every day. Kuwait. For this trip was cheaper than Africa. It was only around $2,500. And again, I used the same technique, which is saving up money, getting resources. Why this organization is cheaper is because it's a shorter trip. It's only 2 weeks, but they try to mix like adventure and volunteering at the same time. Volunteers has different programs, like with different dates, different length of travel, so you can just go to their website and check them out. rovolunteers.com. The way I traveled is not the only way that you can travel. There's so many different ways. You don't have to go with an organization. You can go by yourself. You can travel by yourself. If you really want to travel, if you're really passionate about it, you will put in effort to find out what is best for you. Go and research. Go on Google. Find different organizations if you want to go with an organization. Or if you want to travel by yourself, go find websites. For websites that give reviews of different countries, different places, and also Google like the cheapest flights, because you don't have to go to the most expensive flight to go there. For accommodation, there's so many other options than hotels. There's hostels, which is safe. Not all of them, you have to make sure, just check. But there are so many safe hostels. All my 3 trips, Costa Rica and everything, my accommodation was literally like a bunk bed or a small bed in like a hut. It was just like, it was not a 5-star hotel, trust me. Enjoyed it much more than I enjoyed staying at 5-star hotels, because I've been in 5-star hotels. Yes, they're comfy, they're amazing, but you have to try something new. My sincere recommendation to you is you have to go put in the effort and look for the best opportunity for you, because everyone has different priorities, different dates they can try. If you really want something affordable, there are many affordable options. You just have to look for them. Go for the cheapest option all the time if you want something affordable, that is. For volunteering, you will never know how good volunteering is till you try it. So if you want to try volunteering, I recommend this. Here's my recommendation. Something small, even in traveling. Don't travel like to Africa in the first time. I traveled to Costa Rica, which was close to Canada. Try something simple and small at first. Try traveling in a small scale way, like for example a road trip, or just going to a far place from your town. There's so many different ways if you want to try it out, really. Countless of ways to travel. You can go on road trips, boats, just so many different ways, cars, airplanes. Just go and research. And don't waste your money on things that you don't need, like clothes, going shopping all the time, video games. If you really want to afford traveling, save up money. Think about how much we spend every week, like on the weekends, and then count like 3 months. You're gonna realize that's a lot of money. So instead of wasting it on stupid, just ask money from your parents. That's also an option. But if you can't ask them for money, prove it to them that you really want it by saving up money. At the end of the day, I can sit here and talk about my experience till like next month and I won't finish. But it all comes down to you and what you decide to do. If you really want this, start today. Make a plan, write it down. Tell yourself you're gonna save money and decide where you want to go, what you want to do, how you want to do it. Just go. Sorry for taking so long. This is the end of my experience, the part of the Snapchat session. I know this is probably the longest Snapchat I've ever done. If you watched this far, watched this till the end, I thank you, and I hope you learned something at least and enjoyed it. If you want to share this with your friends, go ahead. Thank you for watching. Bye.